Okay, so today's lesson is on analyzing linear relations 2. So the equation of a line in standard form. So earlier we had worked on slope y-intercept form. So that is when you have y equals mx plus b, okay? M is your slope and b is your y-intercept. Okay, standard form is ax plus by plus c equals 0. Okay, and with that being said, a, b, and c are numbers. Okay, so it means that your x term is first, then your y term is second, then your constant, and you send it equal to 0. So for the slope and y-intercept form and the standard form of the equation are two different ways to write the equation of a line. An equation can be changed from standard form to slope y-intercept form by manipulating the equation and isolating the y variable. Changing from standard form to slope y-intercept form. So let's do some examples of this. So here's our first example. Express each equation in the y equals mx plus b and then identify its slope and y-intercept. So right now, this equation is in standard form. X term is first, y term is second, constant is third, and it is set equal to 0. So that's standard form. So we're going to switch it. So I'm going to write y equals. I'm going to move this over to the other side. So positive x turns into negative x. I'm going to take this negative 3, move it over, and it turns to a positive 3. So now we have our slope that's represented by m, and that is the number in front of our x. So in this case, there's nothing there, so it's a 1. So it's negative 1, and since nothing is underneath it, there's a 1 underneath. And then our y-intercept is our b, and that is when x is 0 and y is positive 3, okay, because this is a positive 3. Okay, next one, b. So I'm going to keep the 2y on this side, and I'm going to bring everything else over. So this x moves over, turns to a negative x. This negative 4 moves over, turns to a positive 4. So we have to do one more step here. This has 2y, and we need to solve for just y. So that means we have to divide by the number in front. So if you divide it by 2, we have to divide everything by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1y. There's always a 1 in front, so this can stay negative a half x, and then positive 4 divided by positive 2 gives us positive 2. So now our slope is our number in front of our x. So in this case, our slope is negative a half, and then our y-intercept is our b, and that is at positive 2. So x is 0, and y is positive 2. Okay, next one. We need to isolate y. So I'm going to keep my negative 3y here, and I'm going to bring this x over. It's going to turn to a negative 6x. This negative 15, when I move it over the equal sign, turns to a positive 15. So same thing as the last question. This one is multiplied by negative 3, so we have to do the opposite. Divide by negative 3. And if you do it to one spot, you'd have to do it to all. So negative 3 divided by negative 3 gives us positive 1y. And my equal signs light it up. Negative 6 divided by negative 3 gives me positive 2. And then I have my x. Positive 15 divided by negative 3 gives me negative 5. So on this one, my slope, which is my m, is the number in front of my x. So that is a positive 2. And that is over top of 1. And then my y-intercept, which is my b, x has to be 0 on this one, and y is negative 5. All right, Last one here, we need to isolate y. So keep my negative 4y, put my equal sign, move this x over. It turns to a negative 2x. This 6x was already on this side of the equal sign, so it just stays the positive 6x because it didn't move. Now we have to solve for y, so we have to divide by the number in front. So since it's a negative 4, we have to divide everything by negative 4. Okay? Negative 4 divided by negative 4 gives us 1y. Negative 2 divided by negative 4, well, negative and negative make a positive. And 2/4 can be reduced to 1/2, an x. Positive 6 divided by negative 4 is going to give us a negative. And we're going to leave it a fraction, but we can reduce by dividing both of these numbers by 2, just to make it smaller. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. Keep the divided by line. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So my slope on this one is the number in front of x, so it is negative 1/2. My y-intercept, we know the first point is 0 because it's crossing that y-intercept. And then in this case, the y-coordinate is negative 3/2. Okay. Next. All right. So writing the equation of a line in standard form given its slope and y-intercept. So here's the examples. Write the equation of the line with the given slope and y-intercept in standard form. Don't forget that the coefficient of the x term should be positive, okay? So that means that your slope in this case is always going to be positive. So, let's get this started. So we know it's y equals mx plus b, right? So let me just a reminder. Okay. So our m, we know is our slope is 1/2. So it's 1/2 x. And then our b is just plus 0. So from here, we have to put it into standard form. So standard form is ax plus by plus c and set it all equal to 0. Now note here, I said it earlier, your x is always positive, okay? So if we look at our question here, it says y equals 1/2 x, or 1/2 x plus 0. So the x is already positive. So that means we're going to take this y and move it over. Okay, so if it's a positive y here, it turns to a negative y. And then we still have our plus 0, and we set it equal to 0, okay? So this is my a, positive 1/2. In front of the y is a negative 1, so that is my b. And then my plus 0 is my c. Okay. Next one, y equals mx plus b. So my m is negative 4, so it's a negative 4x minus 1, because that's what my b is. I'm just putting it in the form y equals mx plus b. So in this case, my 4 is negative, so I'm going to bring it over to this side of the equal sign. Okay, so it's going to be a positive 4x. And then this y stays on the same side, so it's positive y. And this negative 1, I'm moving it over, so it's going to turn to a positive 1, and then set it equal to 0. Okay, so you could have your 0 on the right side, or you could have it on the left. So for example, this one, I could have had my 0 on this side. It means the exact same thing. Okay, so it means the exact same thing no matter what side you have the thing equal to. 0 is 0. Okay, so that means that this is my a, my 4. This is a plus 1. That's my b. And then I have a plus 1 for my c. Okay, let's try this one. Y equals mx plus b. So my m is 0x, and then b is plus 2. So when I go to write this, I need my x positive, okay? So in this case, I guess x is positive here. It's 0, so we'll just leave it there. So I'm going to have 0x. I will move this y over, so positive y turns to a negative y. Then I still have my plus 2, and we can leave our 0 on this side. Okay, just to show you that it doesn't matter. We moved our y over, so we can just place 0 there, and it's fine. So here is my A, negative 1 is my B, and positive 2 is my C. All right, last one. Y equals, M is negative 1/3, and then put your x with it. B is plus 4. So notice here, the x is negative, so I'm going to move this x over and make it a positive 1/3 x. Y is already on the left-hand side, so we'll keep it positive y. And this 4, we move it over, so it becomes a negative 4. All right, and then set it equal to 0. So, final answer. Okay, your A is 1/3, B is a 1, C is the negative 4. Okay. Just make sure. Okay, I thought I went over too. Graphing a line given its equation in standard form. So first thing we have to do here is we need to isolate y. So we have to change this to y equals mx plus b. Okay, so what we're doing is we're changing it from standard form to y equals mx plus b form. So I'm going to keep my 2y here, put my equal sign. I'm going to move this x over. It's going to become a negative x. I'm going to move this 6 over, and it's going to become a negative 6. Now we need to solve for y, so we have to divide by the number in front. So divide it by negative 2, divide it by negative 2. So negative 2 divided by 2 gives me positive 1. Have my equal sign. Remember, there's a 1 in front of that x, so negative 1 divided by negative 2 just gives us a positive half. Leave the x. Negative 6 divided by negative 2 gives us positive 3. So to graph this one, we know that my slope is the number in front of my x, so it is a positive half. And my b is my y-intercept, and it is positive 3. So at positive 3, you're going to put a dot. And then we know slope is rise over run. So we go up 1, and over 2. 1, 2. Put a dot. Up 1, over 2. 1, 2. Put a dot. So if you were to join this, remember, you always use a ruler. It's just on a computer I can't. That's what your line would look like. Okay, next one. We have 3x plus 2y minus 1 equals 0. Well, we have to isolate y again. So 2y equals, I'm moving everything else over. So positive 3x turns to a negative 3x. Negative 1 turns to a positive 1. And now we have to solve for y. So you divide by the number in front. So you divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. 2 goes into 2 one time, so you're left with 1y. Negative 3 divided by 2 leaves you with the fraction, negative 3 over 2. And then 1 divided by 2, you have the other fraction, positive 1/2. So our slope is the number in front of x. So that is negative 3 over 2. And our b, our y-intercept, is positive 1/2. So it's going to be a little tricky. Positive 1/2 is in between 1 and 2. Okay? And remember that your slope is rise divided by run. So we're going to go down 3 because it's negative. And we're going to go over 2. So down 3. 1, 2, 3. And then over 2 positive. 1, 2. Put a dot. So I'll go down 3 again. 1, 2, 3. Oops. 1, 2, 3. And then over 2. 1, 2. Put a dot. Okay, so let's join these lines. Okay, and that's what it looks like. I'll record the second half